Okay, everyone, welcome to the preseason coaches webinar for Unified Tennis. My name is Melissa Kelly. I'm the Senior Director of School Sports Development. I work with Ali Rock, the Unified Tennis Chair, and Mark Sunkel, the Unified Tennis Assistant Chair, to help oversee and administer the season with the strong support and help of the district representatives. If you are joining online, you should see a PowerPoint slide advertising the GuideGo Tunnel Run, which is a fundraiser supporting Special Olympics Maryland. Special Olympics Maryland provides guidance and technical assistance and support to the 17 school systems that offer unified tennis statewide. So we do appreciate all of you considering opportunities to help support fundraising efforts both near and far. So this is our next one on the calendar. If you have any opportunity to share this with your student athletes, teams, family members, constituents locally, please do. We are hopeful to have yet another strong turnout again this year on Sunday, September 16th. This webinar is being recorded, will be uploaded to YouTube momentarily after completion of the presentation, and will be distributed to the masses by recording early tomorrow morning. So please look for that offering in the morning. Okay, moving on. This is the preseason coaches briefing. This is our best effort in having a general overview of what's to come for the season, the general plan for the season, as well as your duties, expectations, both in the immediate future and beyond. There will be brief opportunities throughout the presentation to ask questions. So if you have any questions, please jot yourself a note and look for those opportunities for discussion. You can also submit questions or concerns or comments via the chat option if you are joining online. Okay, the agenda for this afternoon. We're going to try to keep it to about 30 minutes, but we do have a lot of content to go over. So first, we'll have the welcome and introductions. We'll go through the administrative components of the season. That's paperwork, the season timeline, so on and so forth. We'll also review the Google Drive and what to expect there, as well as offer a question and answer opportunity. First, let me welcome and reference once again, our Unified Tennis Chair, Ali Rock. She's returning to this position. Ali's been involved with Unified Sports for pretty close, dating almost as far back as the inception of the program. So we are thrilled to have Ali once again as the Unified Tennis Chair. She served as the Assistant Chair 2 years ago, and so has been involved for 4 or so years in the capacity of the chair. Ali also serves as a Unified Track and Field Chair as well. So her expertise are plentiful, and thank her for her service. Mark Sunkel out of Frederick County returns as the Unified Tennis Assistant Chair. So there's a headshot of Mark. Mark is a former coach of Unified Tennis from Linganore High School for several years, as well as Unified Bocce, and he is the varsity boys and girls coach at Linganore for tennis as well. Coaches contacts. So there's a bit of a change with regard to the reporting lines, working with out of our office with the district representatives and then to the coaches. But some things have not changed for you. So let me review once again the communication plan that we have set in place and found great success with over the years for the coaches to be in touch. And we strongly appreciate, or we vastly appreciate your adherence to this communication plan so that we can be as efficient and as productive as we possibly can in all of the 17 school systems that offer Unified Tennis. So with that, you coaches will be working in direct contact with your district representative. Those people are named there On the next slide, we actually provide a listing of the local school system that is abbreviated with LSS there in the table by alphabetically. So look for that on the next slide. But in the capacity or arrangement of district numbering system, Allegheny and Garrett will work directly with Mark Sunkel, Washington, Barb Costner, Frederick, Michelle Hill, Baltimore City, Tanisha Montgomery, Anna Rundle, Tim Stedman, Calvert, and Charles are working with Seth Rock. Cecil working with Chrissy Webster and Bruce Klein, and then Bayside North, which we define as Caroline, Kent, Queen Anne's, and Talbot will work with Katie Schechner, and Dorchester, Somerset, and Worcester will work with Dave Morissette. Wycomico County will continue to work with their county rep, Jen Hill. So please, once again, it's worth repeating. Please do adhere to the communication line and communicate with these people so that we can get back to you as quickly as possible. Okay, and this table is a reiteration that was on the previous slide, but simply listing each local school system in alphabetical order and then one's direct point of contact, as well as email and cell phone number. So please feel free to communicate frequently, but really all of the information that you need should be at your fingertips on the Google Drive, but we'll get to that momentarily. Administrative. So congratulations, you are a part of the 10th anniversary of the Sports Equity Act and the very first interscholastic unified sports program in the country. So dating back to 2009, we hosted the first interscholastic unified track and field state championship in conjunction with our summer games. And believe it or not, 10 years later, here we are. So we celebrated the 10th anniversary with the spring of 2018 track and field. So we're going to continue that celebration through this school year as well, adding some added pomp and circumstance to the state championships and such. But just wanted to alert you of that, look for that, and it should add some pleasantries and such throughout the season. So congratulations and thank you for all you do to support the Interscholastic Unified Sports Program in your local school system. So with that, as I've mentioned, we have 17 participating school systems. All of the student athletes and teams, valid teams, will compete in one of 9 district tournaments, with the gold medalist teams, school teams, advancing to the state tournament, which will be held on November 7th. That's a Wednesday at Loyola University's McClure Tennis Center. So we were at the McClure Tennis Center 2 years ago in 2015. 3 years ago in 2015. So we're excited to be back there. We required the move from Towson University because of very hefty renovations in the field immediately adjacent to the tennis center at Towson University. So we're not able to be there this year. Hope to return next year. Okay, so the footer here is referencing the participation or eligibility requirements at the outset. So all valid teams need to have a satisfy roster and eligibility requirements as well. They should need to be participating or competing, practicing and such for a minimum of 8 weeks, practicing no less than twice per week. We realize there are transportation, time restrictions, so on and so forth. So practice needs to occur no less than twice per week. Preferably, I'll add this personally, preferably for no less than 90 minutes, so an hour and a half, and competing in 3 or more competitions. If you're not able to meet these requirements, please do get in touch with your immediate point of contact on slide 4 and let him or her know that you're having some difficulties there. Outlining the season timeline. This is a reiteration of what is in your coach's resource guide, which is named the rules and resources for Unified Tennis. This year we had a slight name change of the title of that document. Nonetheless, the season timeline is as follows. So technically, by way of NPSAA regulations, which we adhere to as a corollary COMAR program, you could have started practicing as long ago as August 8th, which was the start date for all varsity and JV sports. for 22 school systems, excluding Allegheny and Garrett. Everyone started school just yesterday on September 4th. Allegheny and Garrett received a waiver from the governor's office to start a bit earlier than that. So this is the typical start time for practices. So if you haven't started practice already or don't have that first practice date set, please work to establish that. It's a little ambitious to get it in this week, but look to start as soon as next week. The next stop on the timeline, so the weeks of September 17th through the 21st are player assessments. Assessments are sometimes referred to as ratings, and this is a fundamental pillar of Unified Tennis. So with this, and we'll get to some more detail about player ratings a little bit later in the presentation, but player ratings need to be planned for, administered with the absolute diligence, both on the court and the steps that we ask to be followed through prior to. So there's a document, player rating guidelines, which will help support these efforts. Once again, having many player ratings occur across the state this fall, we appreciate you, the coaches, adhering to the guidelines to the letter, and look for the district representatives and those managing the ratings to do the same, so that we have a good baseline, good follow through, and a good protocol and a good rubric to place the players in their most appropriate event, but then as well to have parity with regard to competition, so that we have very good matches and great competition. Wednesday, September 19th, the application for participation and affirmation of eligibility. These are the non-student athlete forms, are due to your district representative, or basically due to the people referenced on slide 4. So please get those to those folks. Once again, these are the student athlete forms, and we'll go over those with more detail in the following slides. And then the following week, also on Wednesday, the postseason registrations are due to district, to your contacts on slide 4 as well. So just a note that deadlines may be adjusted or moved up by way of the discretion of the district representative or your contact, so that he or she has time to collect those, vet those, ensure completion, and ensure validity, so on and so forth, and get those packaged up nicely and to hand over to us, the Unified Tennis Committee. Okay. October 8th through the 20th is the window in which district tournaments can be hosted. We have a number of district tournaments, the majority of them already scheduled with sites, locations, times, so on and so forth. So know that because this is an open webinar session serving some of the Eastern Shore and some of the Western counties, I could not give details as to the district tournament dates. But please do, if you don't have those dates already, follow up with your point of contact on slide 4 to collect those details. October 24th is the state tournament pre-competition webinar. You can register using this live link. Coaches, with the anticipation of earning gold and advancing to the state tournament, it's a good idea to go ahead and register for this webinar. And there are options to automatically populate your calendar with reminders, so on and so forth. That way, if you are already registered, it doesn't slip your mind as your life gets more and more busy as the season draws to a close. Just as your life gets busy as the season draws to a close, our responsibilities and attention are plentiful at that time too. So sending reminders about a webinar would be difficult, and registering now is just a real best practice. So thank you for doing that in advance. September 7th, once again, state tournament, Loyola University's McClure Tennis Center. So just a note here so that everyone is well aware, for some school systems, November 5th is closed, or a half day, abbreviated day, early dismissal. So know that it's common, and certainly a circumstance in which you may not have a full day on Monday, and then all schools, to my knowledge, are closed on Tuesday, November 6th because of elections. So know that you won't have those last second reminders to your student athletes, and plan well ahead if you do in fact earn advancement. Okay, coaches' resources are available online via Google Doc only. So Special Olympics Maryland, in consultation with Unified Tennis constituents, we are going green as much as we feasibly can. So with that, the Google Doc will serve as the resource holding place, or the holding place for all resources, including the coaches resource guide, which, as I noted, is renamed as the 2018 official rules and coaches resources for interscholastic unified tennis. Coaching tools, SOMD related forms, the forms aforementioned forms, as well as logos for uniforms, so on and so forth. So please do, if you haven't already, visit that Google Drive and access anything and everything. We did our best to use layman terms in titling the documents, so they're pretty obvious before even opening the document what it is. And then we added some subfolders as well to provide some formality and ease of accessing user use. At the foot of this slide here is the coach's contact list. Once again, if you haven't done this already, it's something that we've been trying to get everyone to do actually since as long ago as May. Please do access this Google list, populate your name, your contact information, all of the coaches in actuality of who should be receiving anything and everything, so that we have your names and contact information readily available should anything pop up that we need to get in touch with you directly. We appreciate that, you taking care of that if you haven't already, in the very near future. So the Interscholastic Unified, abbreviated by IU, now and going forward, Tennis Resource Guide, meticulous review. So our chair, Allie Rock, went through the coach's rule book and recorded verbal reviews or audio reviews of each of the sections of the guide, and those are available by way of live link there. So if you are an Audible learner, if you are new to tennis, please do take the time to review these. If you're not one to read through every letter of the rule book cover to cover, once again, please take the time to review all 4 parts of this. Allie did a great job in completing that, and I believe it will ease your learning curve if there is one. And for those of you who are returning coaches, there's always a good, this is a good opportunity to touch up and refresh your understanding of everything. So with that, I will pause and take questions. I prefer to do so by way of chat. If you're not, I will also take a moment and caution everyone who's attending. If you are in a place that has some background noise, if you could access your personal phone mute option as I go ahead and unmute everyone individually now. Okay, any questions whatsoever? Okay, not hearing anyone, I will go ahead and mute everyone once again to proceed with the presentation. Okay, forms and registration. As mentioned previously, the application for participation, screenshots offered here on this PowerPoint slide. This is consistent with the form that we've had in the past 2 years. This form needs to be collected for each student athlete. Please do so. You coaches are the front lines, if you will, to ensure completion, top to bottom. Every vacant part of the form needs to be completed in its entirety, so please make sure that that is done as you can collect the forms. If they get to our office, Special Olympics Maryland, and there are sections that are incomplete, we'll have to go right back to the district representative. They will then have to go right back to you, and it's just an agonizing, time-consuming process. So please do your due diligence and make every effort to make sure that everything is complete. The next step would be to make sure that it is accurate. We have specifically in the middle section with regard to does the student have a disability, yes or no. Some students or even mom and dad complete this section inaccurately, so please do your due diligence. We realize that you may not have access to everyone's records, but please work with your people in your building, directors of special education, supervisors of special education, so on and so forth, to make sure it is right. And know too that not everyone with a disability, is quite obvious. So do your due diligence in making sure that that's accurate and that all disabilities are noted appropriately, or the lack of a disability. Thank you. So with regard to a due date on this, once again, because this presentation is far-reaching across many districts, please, these are due to your district representative or your immediate point of contact, noted on slide number 4, and then adjusted due dates will be communicated by way of your district rep. Once again, the people listed on slide 4. Accompanying the application for participation is the affirmation of eligibility. So this is actually a system in which we adopted or replicated that the NCAA uses. So it's a system that seems to have worked for us so far. With that, you can just print out the 2 pages of this document. You can handwrite it and then scan it in, and that too is to accompany by way of hopeful scan and email, getting that to your submitted. But accompany your applications for participation. So this, for all intents and purposes, is an account of all of the student athletes who have completed the form. On page 2 of the form, so there's a revision since our last Unified Tennis season with the addition of the team personnel portion of the form. So in the latter part of page 2, you would list anyone and everyone who could possibly be accompanying your team to the state invitational. So these are all non-competitors, and a non-competitor is defined as someone who is not competing. So that could mean that would mean head coaches, assistant coaches, paraprofessionals, interpreters, teachers' assistants, chaperones, student athletes who did not earn advancement to the state tournament yet would like to come and support and spectate, but will be riding on the bus. So we realize that we may not be able to, as soon as September 19th, acquire a complete list of everyone who needs to be credentialed for the state invitational. However, we want to do our best to acquire all of those names. Certainly, you should be able to produce all of the adults who may be accompanying the team, student athletes, or students who may be accompanying the team as spectators would be a different story. So please do write those folks in. If you need more than the allocated 5 spaces, please continue it on into the latter part of the bottom margin there, or even add a second page, a supplement, whatever needs to happen for us to have that. As well, we need all of the information referenced here. So name, role, that means are they a paraprofessional? Are they an interpreter? Are they a team manager? Are they a scorer? So on and so forth. Gender, date of birth, email address, and then cell phone number. So your diligence with ensuring that is completed is appreciated. So non-student athletes, so these are adults and minors. This is the Class A expectation for Special Olympics Maryland. It is required for all non-student athletes. So just a short mention here that Special Olympics Maryland, being that we work with 20 of 24 school systems statewide, need to meet insurance and liability expectations, and really, above all, make sure that our student athletes are safe. And so to do that, we require that all non-student athletes have a Class A clearance, and that can be acquired by completing 2 short steps. Please know that once these 2 short steps are completed, your Class A certification is current for a 3-year term. All Class A documents that I'll reference here on the next few slides, once completed, are to be scanned and emailed to Rachel Maddock Cosden, who is my colleague at Special Olympics Maryland, and her email address is there. Please do get these in no later than Wednesday, September 19th. So the 2 short steps. Step 1 is completing a volunteer application. These forms are available on the Google Drive. So that is a short 2-page form that you can print out, handwrite, complete, sign, scan, send it back. Your Social Security number is no longer required, so that's an improvement that we made last year. Second step is to pass a protective behaviors training, which is available at the live link offered there. This is required by Special Olympics International. This is a short 10-question quiz. Things like when is it okay to have private conversations with a student athlete? When is it okay to transport student athletes? So on and so forth. So that is required from Special Olympics International, and for everyone volunteering or coaching in Special Olympics, all non-student athletes. So if by chance you do have minors, so once again, this could be a team manager, team assistant, assistant coaches, if you will, someone who's not competing, yet again, that are under the age of 18, they must also complete and submit a student minor volunteer reference. And that's a 1-pager, basically demographic information, and then they provide 2 non-family member references. A parent or guardian needs to sign, and that is submitted. So it's something that they can do personally. The protective behaviors training, once completed online, it does give you the option to print and send the certification as the example. The screenshot provides an example on the screen now. So you can print that, save it locally to your computer, and then email it to Rachel, as referenced in a slide or 2 before. Or you can simply take a screenshot and save that in the body of the email and send it on to Rachel. So either option is great. We do get reports from Special Olympics International of those who have completed, but this is definitely a more instantaneous, time-sensitive option to ensuring, to denoting the completion of the protective behaviors. So competition review, rules and points of emphasis is our next section. Okay, once again, it's worth repeating. The coaches resources we've populated the coaches resource guide with so many tools that are available to you, whether you are a well-tenured, seasoned tennis coach, whether you're new to unified sports, or if you're even starting fresh and you have no experience in either realm. So please do visit the coaching toolkit. Those resources are there. A screenshot of a couple. The USTA station cards are a good one to print off. Those provide preferably on cardstock, those provide, as illustrated on the 2 screenshots to the left in the margin there, an illustration for those of the skill at hand, which helps support those who may have difficulty reading, and then the quick reference coaching guide. That's a pocket, quick, can be printed off on 8.5 by 11 paper and have readily available in your pocket so that you can pull it out. And that's really a step-by-step option for how to overcome some hardships that that may be occurring at practice. So both of those are two good examples of the tools that we offer in the toolkit. So please make sure you get there. And then we have videos as well, which are, again, would help anyone regardless of your familiarity with tennis or unified tennis. Player assessments. Once again, this is the foundation of unified tennis and really the primary means of making sure we have comparable competition and parity. So please, we will follow up as the date grows closer with guidelines, as will your district representative or the person leading the rating session on your responsibilities. But please know it's worth emphasizing on and on and on that this is the pillar of unified tennis. So making sure that these rating systems go off to the letter of the guidelines is very important so that we can have reduce the range of inaccurate ratings, so on and so forth. So in the rating session, each player will be evaluated on various skills, be it forehand, backhand, serve, volleys, and court movement. Guidelines I already referenced. Raters will observe the player. Every player needs to be rated, even if they are returning players. And then generally we encourage district representatives or the person leading the ratings to recruit varsity coaches, and or if there's a college or university nearby. We have at times had USTA professionals come out to rate, but to be honest, our partnership with a number of those individuals have swayed as their has tapered off a bit as their responsibilities in the spring season have increased because of the sport growing so much. An important note for everyone, be it if you're new or returning, that returning players, so this is someone who has played unified tennis in any season previously, are not to be rated at a lower level. So an example would be if a player who's played orange ball in 2016 will play orange, green, or yellow ball, so he or she would maintain the same level of play or play with a faster ball. So in the rare instance that someone has experienced a setback of some sort, they might be rated at a lower level, but that's something that needs to be communicated to us, and is certainly the prerogative of the coach or the responsibility of the coach to bring it to our attention. If a player is mis or inaccurately rated, the coach does have the discretion to request reconsideration. So because there is no competitive advantage to a coach requesting that one is reconsidered for a higher or faster level, we, for the most part, will talk through that with you very informally over email or phone and give the okay, but we need to have some background on that. So with the rating system, as we refine the expectations and the guidelines, it is subjective. So this is a person who might be meeting the player for the first time ever. The player might be nervous, so on and so forth, so many factors that could provide an inaccurate rating or a rating that is not representative of the student athlete's full skill. So and these ratings occur in about a 2-minute time period. So if you, coach, believe that someone is inaccurately rated, please do put forth a request to your contact on slide 4 to ask for reconsideration. Rating forms are available by way of the Google folder. There's a image screenshot of that there. The next few slides, I'm not going to go over a lot of detail with that. These are the guidelines for the rating sessions, and because we're 12 or so days off from any rating session occurring, we won't add detail. I won't add detail here, but this is necessary to make sure that, once again, these ratings go off as best with as much control as we possibly can statewide. So please do your due diligence to make sure your coach's responsibilities of the rating guidelines are fulfilled. The postseason registrations. So the next step after one is rated, you would then set your pairings. So with that, your end goal is to have viable pairs, and to establish viable pairs, you would use the rating score, and we'll get to the rating score and parity with that here momentarily. But you also want to make sure that the pairs have adequate time together with practice, and through competition. So soon after the rating session, you should really sit down, do your head scratching, and pair up everyone. And those should, as best you can, within reason, within all reason, be your pairings for the entire competitive season. So match 1 through 6, or however many matches you have lined up for the season, and then as well your district tournament. So on seldom occasions, we have coaches that will just intermix everyone throughout the regular season, and then they get to the district tournament and they have their pairings, and they believe, it might have only been the second or so time those pairs have played together. That is not the desired end goal. So please make sure that you set your pairings soon after the ratings in compliance with the rating regulations, and then have those pairs play together throughout the season. So the postseason registration is offered here. It needs to be submitted, and an image is here. It's on the Unified Tennis, in the Unified Tennis folder. Once again, the form needs to be completed in its entirety. High school name, coach's name, where the notation is of type here, that is where you literally type. Please do not vary from that cell. Date of completion, head coach, and we also need your cell phone number. So once again, by the time we have these postseason registrations in front of us, we're likely on a very short timeline with making sure validity and pairings and things of that nature. So if we need to get in touch with you in a hurry, we need to be able to have that information at our fingertips. So with that said, numbers 1 through 5 under match play would list your pairings. You need to list the event, and that, I believe, is a drop-down option. So event of red ball, orange, green, and yellow, and the person's name. The role would be athlete or unified partner, or you'll see at times unified partner IEP 504. So Unified Partner IEP 504, as described in the coach's resource guide, is a person with a disability other than intellectual. And then you provide in the 4th column that individual's rating. And then the next table to the right of that is who they will be playing with. And the combined rating cells are pre-formatted to calculate the combined scores once you provide a numerical rating in the individual rating cell. Individual skills competition is an option for those who are not quite ready for match play, who need practice with a ball server, and will be rated, or scored on various skills of the game. So those folks would be rated at a lesser than 5, so 4 or less. And this is really exclusive to people who have an intellectual disability. So if someone who doesn't have a disability seems to be suited for individual skills competition, or is rated to be competing in individual skills competition, trust me, that is really not the case. Those folks are very likely to be able to improve their skills, even if they are absolutely new to the game, over the span of the season, to be able to have match play. So if you have any questions on that, once again, contact your district rep, or there will be a question and answer opportunity at the end of this presentation. So each of the student athletes once listed, and we'll go over the pairing ranges and such, which are outlined in your coaches in the rulebook coaches resource guide. A pair with a combined score of 12 to 20 plays red ball, and that's in this court. Boundaries are defined by the service boxes, and then the remaining levels play the entirety of the court, including the alleys. So 21 to 30 is orange, 31 to 40 is green ball, and 41 to 50 is yellow ball. So please, just a note here, as you do reference the various levels of play or the various balls, it's level 1, 2, 3, or excuse me, one is individual skills, level 2 is red, level 3 is orange, level 4 is green, or level 5 is yellow. We at times have that reference, but more importantly, please use the ball color in your naming. So it's red ball, orange ball, green ball, yellow ball. You would not want to reference a yellow ball as a regulation ball, or reference the red ball or orange ball as one of the slower balls, or anything of that sort. It's the literal ball color. The pairings, the process of vetting the pairings, all student athletes who have submitted an affirmation of eligibility and are listed on the application for participation. We as well need a full team name, full contact information, and then partial name. So please, first and last name of all student athletes. Dual participation, COMAR regulations. This is a change since last fall as well. So per the MPSSAA, the state governing body for public school athletics, has let us know that school systems will interpret the COMAR regulations locally. Therefore, you coaches, and that could be 17 different ways, quite honestly, because we're working with 17 school systems for Unified Tennis. So coaches, you need to contact your school athletics director to acquire the interpretation of the regulations. The two COMAR regulations that are applied to Unified Tennis are listed there. So please feel free to send this verbiage directly on to him or her and acquire the interpretation. The three common interpretations are listed here. One is that interpreting it on their own, and then returning players are ineligible forever and always if they have seen any competition at all. And then the third option is for one, if they have competed in tennis at the junior varsity or varsity level, they are ineligible for Unified Tennis for a period of 1 year. So please connect with your athletics director for that interpretation. The next few slides give a synopsis of your tasks or reminders or to-do lists for the next couple days. If you haven't gotten started on this already, please do your best to start chipping away at this. So recruit, recruit, recruit. So every school should have received, dating back to May, these posters recruitment posters were distributed via handouts at your spring district tournaments, spring state tournaments, so on and so forth, or by way of your interest school system courier, or I even dropped some in the mail through the United States Postal Service. So please, if you don't have those already, look for those. Unfortunately, our inventory in our office is very scarce. I think we're down to 3. So if you can't find those, do your due diligence in making sure that you advertise over the morning announcements, posters, getting word out to your supervisors of special education, National Honor Society, so on and so forth, which are great complements to getting the recruitment posters up. So you would also want to, a quick follow-up to that would be host interest meetings for returning and prospective student athletes. You could get some information to rising freshmen. Some of these opportunities have already passed, so back to school nights. PTSAs, so on and so forth. So anything and everything, please leave no stone unturned. And if there are hardships or things that need to be overcome, like shortages of uniform, shortages of equipment, so on and so forth, we'll get to that here momentarily, but those are great problems that Special Olympics Maryland would love to help you with. So no problem there. Don't let that be a hindrance to recruiting more student athletes. Once again, all coaches' resources, please visit the tennis resource folder and familiarize yourself with the resources there and download the official rules and coaches resource guide. Make sure you populate the coaches contact list with anyone and everyone who should be receiving coach addressed information. As well, next steps, inventory and equipment. So if you need equipment, your first step is to contact your school athletics director, ask him or her if they have equipment available, equipment funds available, so on and so forth. If funds are not available at the school, please contact your district representative or the person noted as your immediate point of contact on slide 4, and they will connect with our office and make sure you have the necessary equipment. So with that, that could be certainly rackets, the various competition balls, the foam ball that's pictured there, the Dunlop speed ball, that is a good training device for practice, but is not a competition ball. That is vastly slower, can be affected by the elements, wind, so on and so forth. So if you have that still in your inventory, or if you come across that, know that that is not a replication of the red ball. The 4 balls that we use for competition, red ball, which can have a whole panel. All of these balls can have a panel of the respective ball color or a dot, so they can be easily confused. So I gave examples of those, the colored balls there with the dot and the full panel coloring. So red, orange, green. And the red ball is slightly larger than a tennis ball, probably comparable to a softball in size. There are free rackets available through our partnership with Leveling the Playing Field. I learned just yesterday that the inventory of rackets is a bit scarce, so please do access their equipment request online form, which is available by way of this live link, as soon as possible to see how you can arrange for equipment. And please be very precise in your requests. So they're going to ask you how many rackets you need, and please do not be overly, don't make an overage request, because we certainly want to make sure everyone's using rackets and everyone has a racket for each of the student athletes on your team. Uniform inventory, that's one more thing that you should do in the next week or so, is get the uniforms out. Every student or every team should have school issued jersey. Commonly the shorts or pants or skirts are a personal garment. Those uniform jerseys that were purchased in 2013 or more recent are to have the Interscholastic Unified Sports logo. So that logo is available on the Google Drive as well. Some of them are PDF, some are JPEG, but there are 2 now that are noted as compatible for apparel companies and such. So please make sure that that logo is on your uniform, and there are some examples as to how to place it. The Fall Sports Festival. So Special Olympics Maryland hosts a multi-sport games at Mount St. Mary's University. This is our 30th anniversary in partnership with the Mount. And we strongly encourage and hope that Interscholastic Unified tennis coaches consider this opportunity to register your unified pairs. The deadline to notify our office and me directly of your interest in competing is Friday, September 28th. We do have transportation grants available. This is a 9 a.m. Opening ceremony, and competition starts, I'd have to check back, but typically starts around 10:30. It is an all-day affair, and unified pairs would consist of a person, does need to have one person with an intellectual disability. So more to come on that. For now, several weeks out. Please mark your calendar for the Fall Sports Festival. I just realized the date's not on here, so I will send out the fact sheet along with that. It's Saturday, October 20th at Mount St. Mary's University in Frederick County. Just another reminder of who your direct points of contact are listed accordingly. Once again, this is a reiteration of what is available on slide 4. Okay, I will pause there, and this concludes the presentation. So I will pause there, open up the phone lines once again, and take any questions. So if you do have some background noise wherever you are, please use your personal mute option on your phone. Okay. I do hear some background noise, so if we have any questions, please state your name, school, and I'm happy to take any questions. Okay, very good. Not hearing any, I will take a moment once again to congratulate you on being part of the 10th year of Interscholastic Unified Sports in Maryland, and also thank you for all that you do to provide inclusive opportunities both in your schools and communities. We greatly appreciate all of your help, advisement, assistance, both on and off the court, and really do value this partnership. So on behalf of Allie Rock, Unified Tennis Chair, Mark Sunkel, Unified Tennis Assistant Chair, and Special Olympics Maryland as a whole, thank you, and look for this recording as soon as tomorrow morning. Good night, everyone.